who you are. Yeah. And,
You know?
and introduce yourself or
So,
something.
so when you're ready to start your video, you are now? Okay, let's go.
So what we keep in mind, I guess, is that our chapter will see this years from now.
Yes.
And, okay.
Ready?
Shall I start?
Action. Yes.
My name is Sherry Lean. I moved to Whidbey Island in 1984. I was already a PEO, so I transferred and became a member of Chapter GJ. I met a very good friend in Chapter GJ whose name was Elaine Carty. And we met at lunchtime, which was a little difficult because we worked and we couldn't always get away at lunchtime. In fact, mostly we couldn't get away at lunchtime. So Elaine and I were talking, and she thought that maybe we needed to charter a nighttime chapter. So she did all the legwork for that, and we found enough women who were interested in becoming a member of a nighttime charter, and that happened in, I forget when.
25 years ago.
Yeah, about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
She was a wonderful, very funny, articulate person. Her personality just sparkled. I'll talk more later. Next person.
Well, I was a member of that first group also because of Sherry.
And your name?
I'm Dottie Reed. Excuse me, it's Dot now because Dottie means befuddled and it's become way too descriptive. But I wasn't Dottie in 1990 and when our chapter started. So Sherry just kept talking about this wonderful organization, PEO, and of course I tried to worm out of her what it meant, but I never got a straight answer on that.
We were secretive then.
And, but the more I heard her talk, I thought, boy, I'd like to belong to a group like that. So, here I am. I was initiated in 1990 when the chapter was organized, and I was just fine. Of course, I got to know Elaine very well because she conducted these 12 just really boring meetings. We weren't PEOs yet, and there was nothing to do, but we had to have 12 meetings. So we would all, sit down and go through whatever it was that Elaine had us do. But I thought, what a courageous woman, and why are we all putting up with these boring meetings? And I'll tell you exactly why. It was because of Elaine Carty. And in my case, it was also because of Sherry, because I wouldn't want to to disappoint her. And I love my PEO sisters. I love PEO, and I am grateful to Elaine for getting us going with Sherry's help.
Well, my name is Miriam Knack, and I was supposed to have been a charter member, but I don't know, something came up and I wasn't really a charter member. But I remember that Elaine held our meetings at her home for maybe a year or more. And she worked so hard to increase our group, and it just seemed like that we stayed the same number. But after her death, we had Quinn and Susan, and maybe there were and Linda. And so I thought, oh, she would be so happy. Yeah. But she was just a wonderful person, and I think was a good example for all of us.
My name's Linda Kipling. I was initiated in the chapter in 2004, so not an original member. But Elaine Carty is my husband's cousin. So that's how I came to know her as family. We moved out here in 1989. We actually lived on their property. And I actually didn't hear about PEO until her memorial service, which was quite surprising to me and kind of sad because I would have liked to have been in the organization with her. Dot talked about the organization at the memorial service, and that convinced me that I should kind of grab the torch, so to speak, and move on in her honor. So that got me started, but for us as family, she was always super helpful. Again, we lived on their property for almost a year. And just think about little quirks and things like that about Elaine. She used to have pictures of everything. She took pictures, had pictures everywhere, everything. If you open her kitchen cupboards, there were pictures inside the kitchen cupboards. So things like that. But to just to have a family member here for us when we moved out here was very helpful and a good connection. She knew everybody, so we were connected as soon as we got here. So.
I have to jump in. Elaine's spirit was with me at her memorial service, and I just was really privileged to represent the chapter in speaking of Elaine as a PEO. So afterward, I was serving, I don't remember, punch, I think, and I would see people, like Gwen was one, I'd say, "Oh, Gwen, are you a PEO?" And she would say, "Well, no." And I said, "Well, why not?" And she would say, "Well, nobody asked me." Well, we'll take care of that. And we got quite a few new members, and I kept thinking, I ordinarily wouldn't talk like this. I know it's Elaine.
And I'm Gwen Perrick, and I knew Elaine actually from the hospital because she was our infection control nurse. And I knew her in that role. The other thing is we had both been interested in getting into a program that was about investing, and we had talked about, she wanted to get into that. So that's kind of how I met her, just in other kind of ways. And it's true. I went to her memorial. I had known her, not really well, but I had also kind of known her husband, met him working down at the clinic.
He was
He was,
cool
yeah,
man.
he was a great man. I really liked John.
I really did too.
Yeah, they were a great couple. And so I was really saddened to have lost, kind of in a way, a mentor as another nurse. Well, we were, again, as I say, we weren't close. She was just a shining example. Just as Dot said, you did ask, well, are you a PEO? And I'm going, no. But that's how I joined. And it was probably about 2004. It was after Linda. But did you join the beginning of the year? Or?
November. So
Okay.
you might have been right before me.
Okay, it wasn't the beginning. It was more like fall for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say Marilee joined when I did. If I'm not mistaken, it was the same meeting. So, yeah. You're on.
Okay, I'm Dee Fulcher, and I joined PEO in probably 1989 in Everett. My mom invited me to become a member, and that was very special. And it was in Everett, Washington, which is a pretty good sized town, and it was a very big organization, a big hall. I knew a lot of the ladies because they were friends of my mother's. Well, we did some moving around, my former husband and I, and we ended up on Whidbey Island, and I came to Whidbey Island, and I never, Dot Reed said, don't you want to join PEO? I know you were a member. And I said, I can't do it now, Anyway, it wasn't a part of my life, and I couldn't get involved then. But my life changed a lot, and eventually I became reacquainted with Sherry and Paul after they moved to Whidbey Island, and we had known them when they were on Whidbey Island the first time, before they went to Colorado. So anyway, a lot of persuasion and life changes, and I got IH, and it was one of the best things I've ever done in my life, because I have a lovely bunch of sisters, and I didn't have any real sisters, so this is perfect. But as far as Elaine and Cardi are concerned, my husband and I knew them because they had a bed and breakfast. And Linda, did you live in one of their units or something?
We lived in the bed and breakfast for a short time, and then we moved into what had been Elsie's house, Elaine's mom's house.
Okay, and so we got to know, I got to know Elaine more through the bed and breakfast than I did through IH, because she was, I don't know what year she died.
It was 2004.
2004. So I probably hadn't been in the club that long. But anyway, what we knew of them as innkeepers was very special. They were wonderful people, and I'm sure people returned to that breakfast maybe because it was a very special place. Anyway, I'm sorry I didn't know her more before she passed on, but I sort of lived vicariously through the little stories people tell about her.
It was the parties, actually. We've had a lot of fun in Chapter IH, and we always invited Dee and her husband Dick to the parties in hopes that sooner or later Dee, would come to her senses and join us. And by golly, she did. It was the parties, right?
PEO parties.
Well, I changed
Chapter
husbands too,
IH.
so that was a good thing.
Chapter IH PEO parties are not to be forgotten.
And you have one to tell about.
Yeah, when I moved in 1996 to Colorado, PEO gave me a going away party, and it was at Dot's house, and it was the most fun party, I think, at least for me, that I've been to in just ages. And they made me this pillow, which all the members of PEO at that time signed. It was masterminded by my daughter's sister-in-law, Dawn, who is a quilter. And so this is all quilted.
Is it proper to ask you to read the names?
I'll pass it around. Elaine is on there.
That's something special.
I was dying.
I was daunted. I wasn't self-conscious
Miriam's on
about
there.
that.
Well, Lillian was not far behind,
Lillian's on there.
is she?
Yeah, she's been a member for a long time. Yeah.
Was she part of the original group?
Almost immediately, but she was not one of the chartering members. I don't think she had moved to Whidbey yet.
Well, Dot was so fun about talking to everybody about PEO, and I was at Payless, and I would see, and we knew, my husband and I knew Dot and Dee from real estate. And so when she'd see me, she'd say, well, what about PEO? And I'd say, well, maybe when I retire. So this went on, and then the day I retired, I was walking out the store, and they were announcing on the loudspeaker, ladies and gentlemen, Joanne Kelly's leaving the store. And Dot was there, and she said, what about PEO? And I said, okay, and I didn't know a thing about it.
And it worked.
And it worked. Yes.
And Payless was the place where I almost always used to see Elaine.
Well,
We didn't see each other.
You see everybody
Well,
there.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to run into her all the time there. Chat, catch up, find out what everybody's doing.
Well, I also remember one time when you came in the store and you were just laughing and bubbly from having a really fun time doing a golf thing. And you said it was a PEO.
How could
Oh,
we
that
not
was our
talk about
best
golf
fundraiser.
It really was.
You did that too.
The golf
Yeah.
scramble. The little par 3 golf course, and we gave them food. We had a barbecue when everybody came off the course. It was a best ball scramble, so it never took anybody too long to get around. And we had some really good golfers like Ed Kelly was a great golfer. He was nice enough to come to our little tournament.
Yeah.
And then we had people who had never hit a golf ball before in their entire lives, and somehow it always worked, and we laughed. But the best part was the prizes. We would collect garage sale prizes all year, and then hand them out for, best golf duds and shortest drive. Bill Thompson won shortest drive one time by driving it right square in the ground. But he didn't want to win the prize because he didn't want anyone to know about it. But we found out about it, and he got a grip cleaner for his prize. Yeah.
And guess who was the master of ceremonies for giving away the gifts? Our own Don Reed.
I made a fool of myself every year, but it was a wonderful joint effort. I mean, all of us came together, we did the food. I remember the time it started raining. Nobody had thought to bring plastic, so we just threw our bodies over the food. Until Nancy ran home and got some plastic, and yeah. I'm sure all of us remember the famous golf tournament.
I guess those were pretty good fundraisers.
It was our best fundraiser, I think.
How many years did we have that?
Oh, I'm
You
sure
were
we
still
must have
having it when I
had
came back.
7 or 8 of them at least, but, and would have had more except we all got older. It was a lot of work.
Yeah, they sold it out
Yeah.
Sundays.
They sold it.
They sold it.
Are they still using that?
As a golf course, yeah.
So what were some of your really good fundraisers that you can remember, or no?
That was the best one.
It was the most
That was the
fun.
best.
Oh,
Yeah.
There was a plant sale,
Yeah,
there was a garage sale.
I used to have a retail nursery license, and I would buy plants and we would sell them.
Angels.
And you all made dinner for the.
Yeah.
the-
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of.
For the writers.
That was the hardest we'd ever worked.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were taxi drivers for the authors.
Everybody kept getting up and going to different tables, and we didn't know, we had our own tables we had to serve, and.
How are we getting the meals to whom,
Yes.
That was hilarious. We should have had video of that. Comic relief.
Yes.
well, I'm surprised that my sisters didn't launch whatever process one launches to get rid of a sister. Because I got them into these horrible projects. They worked so hard.
And we made some money.
Well, yeah, and it was 2 years before I felt comfortable in a meeting.
I think we decided that it would have been a lot easier if we could have done the wine and appetizers, didn't we?
Did we do that too?
No, the other group did that,
Oh.
before our dinner.
That's right. And it was hot. I think it was a really
Yeah.
hot day.
And boy, did I ferry a lot of things back and forth between Pat's house and the community club.
And
To the ovens.
and one of the toilets went out, and they had to call somebody in
Oh,
to fix
no.
it. And then the plumbing in the kitchen, remember there was a big flood, the sinks weren't draining, oh my goodness. And I didn't actually get in on this because I was sort of hosting the whole thing,
Oh.
big party, and so but I would look in there and I'd see my sisters, they'd sweat pouring. And it was such a mess in there, and I felt so bad.
That was just before I joined.
Lucky you.
I remember in choir, Dorothy goes, Dorothy Moffat, I am still tired.
That's a fun day.
And poor Pat.
Yes, I remember that. She was really
And
working hard
projects,
this way.
yes.
And Chris,
Yeah.
she kept us in tow,
She did.
really.
Oh, man, did she?
Oh, man, yeah.
Yes.
You know, we were the first, actually, in the reciprocity ever to hostess a luncheon where we all each of us brought our good china and set a table.
Oh, yeah.
And it was beautiful. I
It
mean, you had
was.
all these different tables and linens, and it was just really nice. Now, it was quite a bit of work because we had to haul everything in 8-place settings and the serving bowls and all. And you know, the reciprocity chapters have off and on been doing that ever since.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of neat that we
Yeah.
started that.
That's an idea to remember.
No.
No.
Okay, I'll be quiet now.
I think they've gone back.
We're going for tea.
Bunko was
Wine bar.
easier.
Chris Ricker brought 3 sets of china to that writers.
Yes, she
I
did.
know.
3 sets.
Oh, wow.
But now we tend to lean toward bunco, which is so much fun, and we can thank Jan for putting
Yes.
that together. Jan Wright.
Yes.
I think what we ought to do is sponsor someone who gambles really well and take them out to a casino. There you go.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Are we done?
So about the
We're done?
scholarships then,
Okay,
Oh,
let's go.
wait, one more.
what about the scholarships? We've always given IH has always given a scholarship to the Southern Big Borough then.
Oh, at the high school,
At the high school.
or alternative.
High school.
Or-
How did it start?
There was a cash award that was given anonymously. I'm pretty sure it was Doug Course, if anybody goes far enough back to remember Doug Course. And it was not a scholarship, it was just a cash award to recognize someone, a boy or girl, who had overcome extraordinary obstacles to earn a high school diploma. And of course, it was usually a special ed kid, or maybe a kid who had been on drugs and managed to get off and come back. And, you know, it was always a real hardship story. So then that kind of dried up, but I really missed that award because you can't imagine what it did for the recipients who never expected to get anything, you know, upon graduation. So we just kind of picked it up and we named it for our darling Elaine.
Well,
Oh, no, for
Elaine's
her mother,
mother.
for her mother,
Yes.
right.
The Elsie Kanubi Award.
Yeah.
And then, when Elaine passed away, we combined the two
Oh,
for
okay.
Elaine and Elsie. Elaine and her mother.
And how much we give depends on how our fundraising has gone for the year.
Right.
But it's always $300.
And it has
At
grown
least.
from the original 100.
100 and
Yeah.
50.
Go bunko.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you very, very much, and it's wonderful that we get to know a little bit more, and we'll all have our stories too. And we didn't touch on the scholarships, but like your daughters and mine, that was a wonderful thing for my daughter.
We have presented applicants for a lot of the different scholarships, and quite a few of them have been successful.
Robin Bear was really successful because she started off, you know, with a PCE grant, and then she got a loan, and then she just didn't stop going to school, and she's about to receive her doctorate.
Oh, is she really?
So that gave her a little boost, I think.
Yeah. It was wonderful.
Is that